What's the most empowering decision you've made that others tried to talk you out of? 2 years ago, I was miserable in Boston with everything I was supposed to want. Nice apartment, long-term boyfriend, and a stable life that looked perfect on Instagram. Now, I'm happier than I've ever been, despite everyone thinking I was having a complete mental breakdown. It started when I was scrolling through Reddit during yet another sleepless night. Someone posted these incredible photos of Alaska's wilderness that hit me like a gut punch. I suddenly realized I couldn't remember the last time I felt truly alive or excited about anything. My whole existence had become this endless cycle of pleasing others while slowly dying inside. The next morning, I called my sister Amara and casually mentioned I was thinking about moving to Alaska. I expected her usual supportive follow your heart speech. Instead, there was this long silence before she asked if I was joking. When I said no, she launched into this whole thing about how I've never even been camping and how I'd freeze to death or get eaten by a bear. Not exactly the pep talk I was hoping for, lol. Over the next few weeks, I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed massive change. I started researching small towns in Alaska, looking at housing costs, and figuring out what I'd need to survive. Each night after everyone else was asleep, I'd dive into Alaska forums and YouTube videos, learning everything I could. It felt like I was planning a prison break from my own life. When I finally got serious enough to put my apartment on the rental market, that's when shit really hit the fan. My boyfriend John thought I was just being dramatic at first, but when he realized I was serious, he went from concerned to straight up manipulative. He started with the guilt trips. We had plans together, then moved to subtle insults about how I wouldn't last 2 weeks without Starbucks and my heated mattress pad. The final blow was him telling me I was being pathetically cliche, just another privileged girl having a quarter-life crisis thinking Alaska would somehow fix my problems. My best friend Catalina was a bit more tactful, but equally discouraging. She kept sending me articles about seasonal depression and isolation in Alaska. Then came the group intervention. Catalina, Amara, and 2 other friends sitting me down for what they called a reality check. Like they put in effort to talk me out of this. My parents were surprisingly the least opposed, though my mom did ask if I could just try therapy first before moving to actual wilderness. Fair question, TBH. The worst part wasn't even the opposition. It was how everyone suddenly treated me like I was fragile or stupid. People started speaking to me in that careful tone you use with someone who's one bad day away from a complete breakdown. Friends would exchange these little glances when I talked about my plans. My ex literally patted my hand once and said, "Maybe we should talk about this when you're feeling more yourself." But here's the weird thing. The more everyone tried to talk me out of it, the more certain I became that I needed to go. It was like their doubt was fuel. I started selling everything I owned, researching winter survival skills, and applying for remote work I could do from anywhere with decent Wi-Fi. The day I booked my one-way ticket, I posted it on my Instagram story. Within minutes, my phone was blowing up. The messages ranged from concerned to downright angry. One of my college friends literally wrote, "This is the dumbest thing you've ever done, and that includes dating Kyle sophomore year," which actually made me laugh. 2 months later, I landed in Anchorage with 2 suitcases and a plan that was sketchy at best. That first week was rough NGL. My Airbnb had weird heating issues, everything was way more expensive than I'd budgeted for, and the darkness messed with my sleep schedule badly. There were at least 3 nights I cried myself to sleep thinking everyone had been right all along. Then I met Marley at a local coffee shop. She overheard me trying to figure out bus routes and offered me a ride to the grocery store. During that 20-minute drive, she told me she'd moved here from Florida 5 years ago without knowing a single person. When I asked if she ever regretted it, she just gestured at the mountains and said, "How could I?" Something about her matter-of-fact confidence made me feel less alone. Fast forward to now, 18 months later. I have a job I actually enjoy, a small but amazing circle of friends, and I've learned more practical skills than I did in my entire previous life. I can change my own oil, chop firewood, and know which local berries will kill me. Important life skill. Last week, I watched a moose and her baby walk through my backyard while I drank my morning coffee. Yeah, it's been hard sometimes. The winter darkness is no joke. Dating options are limited AF, and sometimes I miss being able to get food delivered at 1 a.m., but I've never once regretted my decision. Now, Catalina wants to visit, Amara admits she's kind of jealous, and my ex keeps viewing my Instagram stories within seconds of me posting them. The same people who tried to convince me I was making a terrible mistake now act like I'm living some epic adventure they wish they had the courage to pursue. I'm not saying everyone should move to Alaska, but whatever that thing is that everyone's telling you not to do, maybe that's exactly what you need to do.